hey. Woo-hoo! Yes, welcome to the Real Talk Show. We are live. Yes, we are live. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, joining us with the Real Talk Show. I am your host, Cynthia L. Robinson. Yes, I am a coach. I'm a business coach. I'm a planner coach, and I enjoy helping people to start up and stay in business. We publish devotional planners every year. So definitely get your copy, pre-order your copy of Destined for Greatness, which is our 2022 edition for you to walk according to God's purpose and his will for your life. So listen, if you have not done so, do me a favor and invite someone to come to the show. Tonight's show is going to be an amazing show. We have some amazing people that have joined the show, but this month, last month we featured our women. We celebrated our women for History Month, and this month, every single show we have an amazing guest, which is a male. We got our males representing this month, so you might want to go ahead, if you're a woman and you got your husband, invite them to the show. If you have some friends, some male friends, invite them to the show, because you definitely want to be a part of this session tonight. I'm going to bring our guest from behind the curtain, and we're going to get started right now. Come on, John. Come on from behind the curtain. Hey! Welcome to the Real Talk Show. Thank you for saying yes to the call.
Thank you for having me.
I am super. I've been hyped. Do you hear me? I've been super hyped about this. I'm like, I can't wait. We're going to celebrate our men, but more than anything, I'm just so honored. I am so proud of what you are doing for your life, for your family's life, and what you have something amazing platform that you're building, and I just thank God for it. Take a few minutes and introduce yourself.
Well, my name is John Payne. Born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I'm married. I'm a husband of over 20 years to a wonderful woman, Dr. Rolanda Payne. I have 3 children. My oldest son, John III, my namesake, he's a service member. He decided to follow in my footsteps and join the military. And my youngest son and middle child is Sean Allen. He's 12. And then my daughter, Michaela, she's the baby of the group. I prayed very hard for a daughter, and God gave me one. And she turned 9 in June. So
wow.
I retired from the military in 2008 after 20 years of honorable service. I then began to work for the federal government in Washington, D.C., and my journey has connected us, and here I am.
Yes, and what an amazing journey it has been. So I'm glad that you went to dig in just a little bit deep and then you leaped, okay? So I am grateful for that. So do me a favor. You have an amazing book. You're an author, and you have an amazing book. And the title of the show is, what do we have the title? I'm going to put it up here on the slide, because that title that we used, it just was so profound for me that, not the title. Come on, where is my title? Okay. So I have your information scrolling across the bottom, but your title was just so profound. It connected with what you're doing and your life. That's what it connected with. It connected with your life. So at this particular point, would you say that you are walking in your purpose? Because you have you've served the country. You've excellent father, husband, and you made some real, you're trailblazing in your industry as far as the work that you're doing. But more than anything, what made you decide to start looking deeper into yourself to find out who you really were?
Um, well, I won't give everything away. But I
No.
knew that I was adopted since I was 7 years old. And during that time, that era, it was taboo. It was something that, families didn't talk about. It was like a secret. So
Mhm.
I was holding this secret that I was adopted. And so I was always curious. I never imagined that I had siblings. But I was searching for and wanted to know who my birth mother was. So that's the premise of everything. That's the beginning. That's what started me on this journey. Is that I wanted to know, basically from whom I came from and where, and I wanted an opportunity to see and meet my biological mother before I left this planet. So that was my that was my goal. And the older I got, the more intriguing the thirst for it became, more and more. And so when I had my first child, they were asking me questions, about
Mm.
family health, medical history, that sort of thing. And it angered me that I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. Their family has a history of high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes. All I didn't have any of those answers. And so
Mhm.
it angered me that I didn't know. And to be honest, I had a chip on my shoulder because I felt like I checked all the right blocks. I graduated from high school. I joined the military. I served the country. I never been arrested. All of those things, and I was like, I should be able to find out who I am. And
Yeah.
so that's really what spearheaded a lot of my desire to find out who my biological family were at the time.
And okay, we just gonna dive in here because I know a lot of people who don't know their family. And it could be a single mom raising their child or a single dad raising their child on their own and they don't know who that mom is or they don't have a relationship. How does that make you feel growing up and not having that? You may have had a person in your life, but
Mhm.
knowing not having that person that that is your biological, how does that make you feel?
I couldn't answer that question until I was in my late 30s. So I felt as if something was wrong with me. And I discovered an article by a researcher, PhD holder. This young lady, she was adopted. She went on to get a PhD in psychology or something like that. And I came across the term genetic mirroring. And that article explained to me or made clear to me what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of unseen things that happen to a child, that if you are born and raised around your biological people, you wouldn't know anything about this, and so you don't recognize it. If you are an adopted child or you've been taken away from your biological, family,
Mm-hmm.
you may not know what it is, but you can feel the difference. So
Like there's a disconnect, you're saying. Like there's a
yes,
disconnect somewhere.
um, it's almost as if you don't belong. You just don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the love you receive. My adopted mother is an awesome woman, and I couldn't imagine being raised by anyone else. I mean, it was a great experience, but there's something um, different that needs to be realized. The knowing part is missing, and there are a lot of things that you're not going to get if you're not connected to those that you share that bloodline with. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's so funny because I know of several people that they say that they're okay. They say that they're okay. They say that they haven't been a part of my life, so I'm okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, come on. This is real talk.
So
This is real talk. Let's be real.
I said that before. So here's the thing, and I noticed this with my children. So adopted children are grateful. Biological children are not. So my kids don't wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh my God, Daddy, thank you for the roof over our head. You know, I really appreciate eating dinner last night." You know, but adopted kids are grateful. They see that, they realize that, they overemphasize that because they know that they could have not been in that fortunate space of having shelter, of having protection, having love. So they're grateful for it. Your biological kids, that's their birthright. They know, they feel like, I'm supposed to have this. Biological children have that. Adopted children don't feel like they supposed to have that. They're grateful for it. And there's a difference. And so if you ask an adopted child if they're okay, they're going to say yes, because we all know what side of the bread our butter is on. We know where that is. So we're not going to say or do anything to interrupt that comfort, that will to survive. We're not going to say anything. And I wrote in my book, when my mother told me that I was adopted at 7, I knew what it meant, right? And I knew what I needed to say at that moment, because she asked me, if your birth mother wanted you back, would you go? And my answer to her was no, you're my mama. Right? Now, at 7, I didn't really fully get the full weight and gravity of what I was saying, but I knew that at that moment I needed to say something to ensure she was comfortable with the situation, because it was a time when she was under a great deal of duress. State Department was coming to the house inspecting. They were making sure that the environment I was in was safe, that sort of thing, because my adoption wasn't finalized until that time frame. So I legally didn't have a name until after this period. So yeah, I knew what I needed to say in order to make everything okay, to make her feel all right, because I didn't want to roll the dice and take the chance of saying, yeah, I would go, and then, it didn't materialize now, so so very clever, very smart, adopted children is something that is second nature. It's a survival thing. And it has nothing to do with the amount of love that you give and receive. But I had to explain that to my mother years later, that the love I have for you will never change. The mother position is filled. You did an excellent job. Everything is good. So yeah.
We have a caller that's we have a guest that's on the line that says sounds so familiar with her situation that she can relate to what you're talking about. And that's the whole thing. And I get it about being adopted. And I think that there's a lot of comparisons, things that are similar when I say that for adopted and for parents that's raising a child by themselves and that child don't know who that other parent is also. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not taking away from either or, but I think there's a lot of similarities with it, because you grew up and you didn't know who your birth parents were.
Mm-hmm.
and and you for you, I applaud your mom because she actually told you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back to this statement in a minute, but there are several people that have adopted kids and they have never told their kids that they've been adopted. And so if what you're saying is there's a displacement,
Mm-hmm.
you can automatically feel that. Did you feel that before your mom told you, or did you feel that after she told you?
Um, I can say before, but when she told me, it kind of brought it into a
To
little,
perspective.
yeah, because um I didn't see anyone on the planet that I resembled or resembled me until my children were born.
Wow.
So that goes back to the genetic mirroring that I was telling you about. So
Yes.
I've gone to family reunions, technically families that is not biologically mine, and had individuals say, "You look like so and so." And I'm saying in the back of my mind, no, I don't, because I know I'm adopted. So I don't look like that person because that person is, I don't come from that bloodline.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I think that and I'm gonna take you somewhere real quick. So bear with me.
Okay, take me. Come
Okay.
on.
So I feel that the adoption process can be one of selfishness if not checked and not fully understood.
Explain.
Okay, so you have two different parties. In my case, someone didn't want a child and someone did,
Mm.
right? So um I'm grateful to God that I was brought to term and I'm here. I'm grateful for that. But that could not have been the case.
That's true.
My birth mother had several options. So she chose to give me up for adoption. I'm grateful that she did, because hindsight, I see that that was God's plan for me,
Yes.
because I had someone that loved me unconditionally, that loves me unconditionally, and raised me as if I was her own.
Wow.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
but even in that, there's some selfishness, because one don't want, I need to discard. This is my want. I need to discard with this situation. And someone else like, well, I want this particular situation. So it's steeped in selfishness. And in many cases, adopted children are looked at as property,
Mm.
ownership. They feel they own the children. What I figured out, I have three of my own, and I'm renting space. God allowed me to father them for a certain amount of time, and then they're going to go out into the world and do whatever it is that they're going to do and become who they're going to become. And if the relationship is proper, if a parent child relationship is proper, it is the only relationship where it involves people splitting, moving apart from each other.
Ooh. Come on now.
So
Yeah.
when you look at an adopted situation, a lot of the parents take on a more ownership of that adopted child, not realizing that that is a separate entity, and God is allowing you, blessing you, blessing your environment, that you can raise this child, this sponge, and place in him or her the values that you want for them to take out into the world to become a successful human being.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. because I never even thought of it like that until you just broke that down like that. Um, and it's so many kids that's out there that need that love, that need that home. Um, and I guess as a parent, because you looked at it from both perspectives. You looked at it from the perspective of you being a father and what you're pouring into your child, and how you look at it as a space of rental. You know, you're only going to have them for that certain amount of time, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to go off.
Seasons.
But right, and in the adoption process, your mom that raised you, um, she, it's possible she could not have kids, or she just felt the need to. She's seen a child that needed what she had, that love and that support, because maybe she was financially able to provide for you, she was physically and emotionally able to provide for you, more so than what your biological mom could do for you. So she took up that responsibility, and she said, let me pick up this cross and carry it.
Yeah. And by no means now. She did a great job.
Yeah.
My mother, when I say mother, I mean the woman that raised me. She could no longer have children. And I wrote about it in the book. She was married to her high school sweetheart, and she had a child, and the baby died shortly after being born, and she could no longer have children. And so she wanted a child, and here I am. So
Wow.
so yeah,
God is so strategic in the stuff that he do. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
What a blessing for God to be able to bring you into her life, even after she lost a child and she could not have another one.
right.
That's a blessing. You, okay.
Oh, by the way, she started the process with her new husband, the gentleman that I'm named after, and they were divorced before my adoption was finalized, and she had to start the process again as a single mother.
So wait a minute. Let's back up, y'all. So your mom, it reminds me of, just listening to this, getting deeper into it. It reminds me of the movie of
Antoine Fisher.
Yes, and then dang, yeah. Also, it reminds me of the movie. It was a Tyler Perry movie with Love and Marriage or something to that effect. Come on, y'all, help me out here. Is it Love and Marriage, or what was the name of that movie? Come on, y'all, drop it in the chat. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Where Janet Jackson was in it with Tasha. Oh, come on now. Y'all know when she wound up having the baby, they got in the car accident, they lost the baby died. Yes, that reminds me. But I'm going back to this because even though your mother had a child with her husband, she lost that child.
Yep, they got divorced. She got remarried.
Oh, Jesus, come on now. She got remarried.
Right.
And then that's when she started the process with you.
Correct.
With that husband. That husband and her wound up getting a divorce. And so you became a blessing. Not only were you a blessing to her, but she was a blessing to you.
Right. So the city of Orlando placed me in her care. The judicial system placed me in her care 3 days after I was born, without any legal documentation other than they knew, like, we're going to draw this up. We're going to place this baby in your care. This is in the best interest of the baby. And so they placed me in her care, and I remained in her care until I was an adult. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Come on now. Come on now. So, okay, we going somewhere with this. And Monica did come up with the name for me. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Mom. Is Why Did We Get Married? That's the movie with Janet Jackson that was married to, I can't remember all the people in the show, but it was a Tyler Perry movie. They got married. She had an accident. Somebody had an accident. Baby died. So long story short is it reminded me of somewhat of that story, because after all of that time, they wind up getting a divorce too. It's just, okay. So let's go a little bit into your book. Because we've been talking about your life, and your book title is what?
The book title is You May Not Be Who You Think You Are.
Okay.
Now that was not the original title.
Okay, what was the original title?
The original title of the book was Finding Mary Alice Martin. So I recently, maybe a year and a half ago, I found out that during that time frame that a mother giving up a child for adoption can use an alias to protect their anonymity.
Whoa.
So that was the name that she chose, was Mary Alice Martin. Now, what was crazy about that is that I wasn't named, I didn't have a name until 1977, March of 77. I was born in 69. But my legal name at that time, according to the state of Florida, was Baby Martin. They named me after the alias name that she left behind to protect her anonymity.
So from a baby, you had to go in the system wise as Baby Martin.
Yes.
Because your
I didn't have a name.
Birth mother
didn't name me.
Didn't name you, and she used an alias name. So you actually have an alias name, which is Baby Martin.
Yes. So I put a copy of my original birth certificate in the book, so you can see that in the book. So yes, that was my first name, Baby Martin.
Okay, so at what point at the adoption is when you was legally named John
Payne Jr. So I was named after my mother's ex-husband. So and I guess we're all adults, so you know, sometime when you're not together, you become friends again. Okay, so he made a promise to her that he would help her do whatever he could in order to adopt me. So he went to the court system and he agreed that he would co-parent me with her. And so in his goodwill, my mother named me after him. So I am John I. Payne Jr. He's John I. Payne Sr., which he is deceased, but that's who I'm named after.
Okay, you know I got to ask this question.
Yes.
Did he help co-parent?
That's a tricky question. It's in the book though. I didn't leave it out. I didn't leave it out. But I will say this. The book doesn't bash anyone. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry at anyone. And so when I was going through the process of writing the book, because I initially wasn't writing a book, I was capturing notes for my children so that they can know where they came from. Look, this is your lineage. So I did find quite a few redeeming qualities about my adopted father. And I paid homage to him and several other men that came into my life to help develop my manhood.
Ooh.
So, the beginning of the book, I talk about a certain pattern of men. They all were different, they all had different characteristics. I was able to take something away from each of them.
Wow.
So, one was an older gentleman. He was a deacon in the church. He taught me how to work. I would work with him cleaning the church inside and out. He taught me how to cut grass. He taught me how to vacuum, how to clean toilets. He taught me how to tie a tie. He taught me how to shine shoes, how to iron clothes. And he taught me
Okay.
the value of a dollar. Another gentleman came along. He taught me how to be a gentleman. He chaperoned my first date with a girl. He taught me how to drive. Another gentleman came along, and he was what you would call the player. So he taught me a little like how you talk to girls, that sort of thing. And so I took a little bit from each of them, and in the beginning of my book, I speak about them, and I talk about what they gave me. My stepfather, he taught me patience. He taught me how to fish. I didn't master it as well as I should have, or as well as he had. But I was able to teach a little bit to my boys and pass them over to him and let him finish up. So he taught my oldest son how to fish and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. And look, that's powerful. That's powerful that you were smart enough to take a component of each one of them and keep that in your own life to help you to be the person that you are today. That's powerful. And then the other thing that I took from that is that you didn't allow your past to dictate your future. And I say that in the aspect of, even though you grew up knowing that you were adopted, you took that and you leveraged on it. Because Miss Martin, did you ever get angry with her, or did you ever become resentful or angry with God and say, why? Because that's what happens with a lot of kids that's adopted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This real talk, so I keep it real. There was one time, and I wrote about it in the book. So I got to meet my mother, my birth mother, through the help of my uncle, Pastor Eddie Harris Jr. He facilitated a sit down with me and my birth mother. And I told her, and understand, feelings are feelings. You don't know, how they derive or where they come from. You can't control, who you love, they say. And
Mm-hmm.
I told her that I loved her. I told her I can't explain this to you. But I love you. And I hold no ill will towards her still to this day. And her answer was I guess not too flattering. And I wish that I could have handled it a little differently. I shut down.
Mm.
So I didn't get an opportunity to ask some of the questions that I had in my mind that I wanted to know about, because I allowed her answer to take over my emotions, and I imploded. I went inward and I shut down, and I didn't get an opportunity to do that. So that would probably be the only time. Now I still don't have any ill will. I'm not upset with her. I'm grateful because I've had a wonderful childhood and even better adulthood. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not angry at anyone. I honestly believe, deep down into the core of me, that this was all ordained by God. I really believe that. So she served her purpose, and her purpose was to bring me to bear, and I made it.
Yeah.
And once I came in, he had someone yearning for me,
Yes.
and she had me ever since I hit the planet, and she did her thing. And so my hat is off to both of these women, because it took everything that happened in order for me to be here and to experience the fulfillment that I'm feeling now. I can honestly say I'm whole, I'm complete, and I'm just grateful to God how things have worked out thus far. So yeah.
Amen. Amen. So we started out with we touched on what your book started to be, and then you changed it to the other title.
Mm-hmm.
So your title of your book is now. I'm bringing up. I'm going to put it across the bottom of the screen again.
You
So
may not be who you think you are.
okay. So what I love this title, and the more I heard about your story and your journey, this is the title. This is the title.
I agree.
What made you switch from finding, I forgot her whole name, Miss Martin,
Mm-hmm.
to you may not be who you think you are?
Well, a lot of people think that applies to me. It doesn't just apply to me. It applies to everyone that's connected to me.
Mm.
So yeah. So this came to me. And I thought I would never be the one to ever say stuff like this, but this came to me in a dream. And I woke up and I wrote it down and I went back to sleep. And I knew from that moment that that was the title. So it doesn't necessarily only apply to me. It applies to anyone that I found that's connected to me. It applies to my adopted family that I walked my childhood with. It applies to my siblings because they didn't know I existed. So
Wow.
they were not who they thought they were because I wasn't in their lives and they wasn't in mine. So it applies to all of those tentacles of connection that were not known at that time. And once they revealed themselves, then it changes everyone. Now, the only difference between me and them is that my journey, I'm constantly changing because I've met them. So as they're piling on, as I'm building relationships with my siblings, I'm changing. I'm over and over and over and over again. But what's crazy is that God placed something in me for each one of them, and each one of them have something inside of them that I've been longing for a lifetime that they give to me. So
Whoa.
yeah, so that's where the title that's where it goes. That's where it takes me.
Wow. Okay. This story is like you break it down so much deeper than what anybody could have ever imagined. Anybody that's um, adopted someone or that's raising a child, that's helping somebody out. Because listen, we all have those situations where grandmama wind up raising the grandkids, um, or raising a niece or a nephew because somebody else didn't do what they. It happens in all of our lives. It happens in all of our families. But the way you just broke that down is until you find out those missing pieces to those puzzles, you're always going to have some brokenness.
Yes.
But now that you found those pieces, you're now whole,
Mm-hmm.
because you're whole in the aspect of you've gained that information, you've connected with that bloodline, You built relationships with those individuals. So you're whole now. You know the truth of the stuff that was hidden.
And to add to that, if anyone is raising a child that's not your biological, you're serving them a grave injustice if you're not sharing the truth. The truth stands alone. You don't have to be rehearsed. It don't have to be remembered. It stands alone. Love is going to be there. So my adopted mother didn't allow me, because I wouldn't have gone on the journey without her blessing. She didn't allow me to start this journey for 15 years. I asked her, and she was not hearing it. 15 years later, she called me out the blue and she said, I think it's time for you to find your people. When she said go, everything was in place. I traced both lineage of my bloodline back 2 generations in less than 6 months.
Wow.
Now, I was upset for those 15 years. Like, man, I love her. I don't know why she won't let me do this. Why I can't get her blessing. But see, what I learned is that there's our time and then there's God's time.
Yes.
So, and I didn't get this until after I found my siblings and who my father is and mother is and all that. But when she said it's time, everything fell in place, because 15 years earlier, DNA was not as prevalent as it is now.
Yeah.
I probably would have given up because I wouldn't have found anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But when she said it, she said, okay, now it's time. Everything was in place. The relationships that I had built over that 15-year span helped me tremendously. The people that I had met, the doors that was open, the DNA had moved forward. So I was connected with people that were able to even help me. And then when I started getting DNA hits, I connected with cousins that had been on there for years that were, subject matter experts in this thing. And they were sharing knowledge with me. Hey, you need to do this. Go to this website and trace this back. Get you an account with the newspaper. Trace this back. Do this, do that. So everything was waiting for me. Just the same as when I was born and my mother was waiting for me. Everything fell in place.
But listen, if your mom registered, your biological mom registered under a alias or fictitious name, how did you find her true name if it was all under a fictitious name?
Okay, first when you are adopted in the state of Florida, your records are sealed. So there was only 2 copies. One was given to my birth mother. Another was given to my adopted mother. And this is all in the book. My adopted mother feared that I would find a copy of it. I've touched it before in a bag. You know how your mama had, the old mamas, they got that big purse with all their important papers in it.
Yes.
She had this giant purse in the closet. She said, hey, go in there and get that. It's an insurance policy in there. I want you to see it and get a copy of it and you keep it, whatever. I'm going through it. I got my adoption paperwork in my hand. Don't know what it is. Put it back in the bag, looking for something else. When I leave, I'm home visiting. When I leave, she takes it, tears it up, and throw it away. So now she's giving me permission. She can't get another copy. They like, nope, that was it. You threw your copy away. We can't give you another copy. So I felt as if she had thrown a part of me in the trash. The only paperwork of my life. This is my life. Now I'm feeling some kind of way because I have to go and beg the state of Florida for paperwork about me. Like, this is me now. You're not gonna give it to me. This is me. They're like, no. I'm like, man, I served my country for 20 years. I fought in a war. I did this. They were like, sorry, we don't care. Right? So then again, the power of God, right? I write a letter. I sit down, I write a letter. I'm gonna write this letter to the clerk of courts for Orange County and Orlando. I wrote a letter. It turned out to be very long and very emotional. So I was like, this is not gonna get me where I'm trying to go. I had to rewrite it. I had to scale it down. I had to take out certain things. I said, I need a 1-pager, but it's got to be solid now. It's got to be some of the best work you ever done.
Come on.
I wrote a 1-pager. And I got it down, and it said exactly what I needed to say. I signed it, and I was at work in DC. I walked to Union Station. There's a post office in Union Station if you've ever been to Washington, D.C. I went to the post office. I mailed the letter off. A few weeks passed. I got a response. So this is crazy. A Black female lawyer, member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, judge, took up my letter, took up my case, assigned the lawyer to me pro bono to help me.
Look at God.
He turned out to not be much help, but it did give me a line of communication to her. So I found everything on my own through DNA and research, and I would feed the information to him. So because I was able to narrow down through the process of elimination of other relatives that I shared DNA with, I was able to say or show that her name was false. So the judge ordered them to give me a copy of my adoption paperwork unredacted. It's in the book. So the way it worked was, I had an uncle that was tested. Didn't know for sure whether he was my uncle or my daddy. That's my uncle. So we met up. I called him. He's also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I went home. I called him. We talked. We met up. He volunteered to take DNA. So I have a little sense of humor, and his sense of humor is pretty much like mine. So I said, hey, I'm gonna call you Uncle Daddy until we figure out,
Not Uncle Daddy.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're my uncle, and I don't know if you're my daddy, but between the two, we're gonna get this thing figured out, y'all.
That's it. And so his response to me was, well, I'm gonna call you nephew son. And so his DNA came back, and he was determined to be my uncle on my maternal side.
Wow.
And on the DNA, I had a half brother, I had an uncle, maternal uncle, I had a maternal first cousin, all on my DNA. And then I was able to say, okay, if this is my uncle, he only has one sister, right? And if this is my brother, and then that's his mama, so she must be my mama, right?
Process of elimination. Okay,
right. So I'm speaking with my maternal brother, my older brother. I'm speaking with his father, and he said, you know, she had another child around this year. Gave me a name. And it's all in the book. I'm looking for the name. He's in my yearbook. My wife said, hey, look at this. I said, oh, yeah, I know. I went to school with him. She was like, no, look again. and it's my younger brother, right? So I call him up. He agrees to take the test. Turns out he's my brother. They're all on my maternal line. So now I know who my mother is.
Look at God. Wait a minute. So listen, check this out. So you're saying that your mom, your brother, and you literally went to school together. That's how close
the home that I was in when I went to high school is 3.1 miles from my birth mother's house, which meant that we lived in the same school district. We went to the same school. We knew each other as friends. He actually dated my best friend, whose mother used to babysit me, that was 4 houses down on the same side of the street as my blood grandmother, my maternal grandmother.
Wow.
We were all right there together.
Right there together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as you say, you may not know. You may not be who you think you are.
You may not be.
You may not be who you think you are. Listen, we got the comments coming in. I'm going to put these comments in so that you can see how your story is giving me chills. That's from the Change After 40 podcast. We got Veronica that said this is powerful. God is good. Yes, he sure is. And we got the Change After 40 that talked about nobody but God. Only God can make that happen. Only God can turn that situation around. Only God can open up them doors that you thought were closed. Only God. And they said this is so deep. And y'all, this is only the tip of it. There is so many other layers to this, but y'all got to get his book for you to get the other layers, because there's so much involved with this whole situation. There is so much more intel, and he's only giving y'all bits and pieces, but for y'all get the whole story, y'all gonna have to get the book. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. If somebody has been adopted, or they don't have a relationship with, and they want to connect with their loved one, or they may not think that they're loved one because they're no longer in their life, or they're not present, would you say that they should actually reach out?
I'm going to always err on the side of truth. So my birth mother, she's matter of fact. She doesn't talk to me. She don't reach out. I told her my line is always open, but knowing, I'm good. So I will always err on the side of truth. There's nothing like it, and it's beneficial for everyone, and it may be a sense of guilt and shame that she's suffering from, but if she's ever thought about me, she knows. She's like, okay, he made it. He's okay.
Yeah.
And she may not never tell me that or whatever. And it's, I don't really necessarily care. I'm filled. I know who she is. I know where she is. I know my story. So my pages are no longer empty. I filled my pages at the beginning portion of my life on how I became to be. And you can't ask for anything more than that. And if you're dealing with an adopted child, be truthful. That's the only message I can say. Be truthful. And it'll pay dividends in the long run, and it won't build resentment, because there will be some resentment if the truth is not out there. Let me love on my own terms. Don't, and so I think that was a plus that my mother, not knowingly, that's what she did for me. She told me the truth, and she promised me that she would never lie to me, and she never has. And so that's, the love will never change, and
Amen.
So be truthful. The love is there. It's gonna remain. You don't have to be in fear that the child isn't gonna love you. There's enough room. My wife sends my birth mother stuff on holidays. She doesn't respond. She don't send anything back. But, she'll send her, a card for Valentine's Day or something like that. I did tell her, you might want to send some cheaper gifts, because she's never. But,
Okay, look, okay, just tone the little gifts down just a little
yeah,
bit
turn
because she
them
ain't
down a little bit.
responding.
But
So,
we, through her, we recognize her, at least once or twice a year. Whether she responds or not, that's on her. I've come across a lot of people that I'm just head over heels in love with, and they love me back, and I'm good. I have sisters and brothers on maternal and paternal sides of my bloodline, and we talk, if not daily, weekly, and life is beautiful. My kids understand and know, and my book has left something here long after I'm gone. If they ever want to dig into their lineage and find out where they came from, it'll always be here and be available for them to research and read. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with the way things have turned out.
okay, so, we are literally pressing on almost 8 o'clock. Time just seemed to go by so fast. And as much as I want to ask you some more questions, because I can go deeper and deeper and we can keep on going. But before we leave, I want the people to know how, one, they can connect with you. And I want you to give them a tip. Give them a tip that they can leave with. I mean, because you're educated, you have a beautiful family, you've made connections. And so often we have people that's going to be here on this live, that's going to watch this even in the replay. This is going to be able to be around forever. Mm-hmm. And if somebody clicked on to watch this show and they were feeling some kind of way because they don't have a relationship with their biological father or mother, what would you tell them to do? I mean, because sometimes we have those hurt feelings, and it's okay to have that mindset, that hurtness, but for you to be the best version of yourself, sometimes we have to do a little bit extra to fill that void. So what would you tell them to do?
Well, I will say this. There is a portion in my book where I speak about a cousin, an adopted cousin. And basically with her, it's a situation where our relationship superseded DNA. Mm-hmm. So even though she's my adopted cousin, I upgraded her to my sister forever. Amen. So you don't have to be family to love. You don't have to be blood to love. Right?
Yeah.
So everyone's story is not going to end like mine. I'm aware of that. I'm not disillusioned. There will be some people that will search and never will find anything. But God placed people in your lives for a reason. And love is beyond biology. Love is beyond DNA. So there's some people in my life that are not blood that I love like they are. Mm-hmm. So live this life to the best of your ability and keep God first, pray, and just walk in truth. Walk in truth.
Okay. I got one more because God just gave me another question for you.
Come on with
it. Through this journey, did you ever have to seek any type of therapy, counseling? Because, in our culture, mm-hmm. we don't look at going to counseling or a therapist as anything good. But it's okay. We need to get out of that mindset. We need to think that we need to know that it's okay, that we can't solve everything by ourselves internally, that sometimes we have to go to a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you ever have to seek therapy to get you through any of these hurdles?
No, I didn't. Hindsight, I should have. Totally for it. But I self-medicated. So I guess I didn't put this out there. There's only one person, one or two people outside of my home that knew this. I used a form of self-therapy for myself. I used a lot of imagery, a lot of pictures, a lot of memories, physical memories. And I scattered those all around. And then it came to a point where I didn't have to do that anymore, so I boxed it all up because it no longer needed to be displayed for me outward to see it because it's now inward. It's in me. So
Okay.
I was fortunate um that I was able to provide myself some type of therapy. But hindsight, which is always 2020, I recommend it. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think it's an excellent idea.
Okay. So, my last question is, did we ever find your dad, your biological dad, and what's next for you?
Okay. Yes, we did. And he's on the cover of my book. So if you look at the cover, half of the picture is him, the other half is me. My biological father is deceased, and I'm doing independent research on his life as we speak. And so I will be putting a book out in the future about my father, the good, bad, and the ugly, and all of that. And yeah, so yeah, I found him. Um, my heart was broken to find out that he was deceased. I felt like I was too late in my search. But he left behind some beautiful children that are my sister and brother that I love dearly. And so he made his mark. And the stories, I take the good stories that I hear about him and I hold them close. And I keep moving. I try to live my life in the example that if I seen him today, that he would be proud of me. That's
And he
that's
would be.
that's
He would be.
how I live. So yeah, I would if he walked up to me right now, I would like for him to be very proud of how I live my life and some of the things that I've accomplished. So yeah.
Amen. Amen. So, last thing, tell the people how they can connect with you and how they can get in contact with you, how they can purchase your book, and just let them know how they can get with you. They can connect with you.
Okay. I have a website, and the website is Melanoid Creations, and that's MELNOIDS Creations, CREATIONS.com. And I will give that information. I'll pass it on to you, Cynthia, so that you can give it to your audience. To purchase my book, it's on Amazon. It's anywhere that you purchase a book, you can buy mine. Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, Walmart. You can buy my book on eBay if you look it up. So if you all you have to do is type in my name, John I. Payne Jr. on Amazon. The book will pop up. I have it in almost every different modality that people consume their information. I have an Audible that I did. I have a digital download if you want to get it right away. You can digitally download it on any device. You don't have to have the actual software to do that. You can get the Audible, you can get hardcover, you can get paperback. It's all there for you. And if you do purchase it and you read it, please provide a review, and that would be very, very helpful. And There's also a way to contact me on my website if you have any questions or anything like that, or speaking engagements or anything. You can reach me on melanoidcreations.com. Thank you, Cynthia, for showing that on the screen. And I'll take any questions, any comments. If you have questions about my journey in finding my biological people, or adoption children, or genetic mirroring, I just wrapped up a session with Savannah State University. I did a 2-part session. So there's a lot to go around, a lot of things to talk about, and I'm an open book. I don't hold back anything, and I like to thank you, Cynthia, for allowing me an opportunity to share your wonderful platform and your audience. It's been a joy. And by the way, audience, Cynthia is my cousin.
Yes, yes, yes. Look, I was waiting on you to drop it. Come on now.
Okay, so lastly, I'm gonna give you one more nugget. So through my research, I'm almost certain that my biological mother and my adopted mother are distant cousins.
Say what? Wait a minute. I ain't know about this part. Yes, John Payne is my cousin. And I thank God for him doing that research, because we were able to connect. And it's been such a blessing. And I can't wait for us to actually get together, see each other. And what a awesome look. I was so, yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. God is good.
Yes,
and in spite of, I love my cousin. And I'm so proud of everything that he's doing. And I can't wait. Look, y'all, I'm telling y'all better buy the book. It's everything. I just dropped the link in there. Check out the link. It's amazing. I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. I'm so, people don't understand what a person may go through without having that connection, without having that bond. But that bloodline is everything. And it's just like you said, you felt a sense of wholeness when you connected. When you and I first talked on the phone, and y'all, we went over, my bad. But when you and I connected on that phone, we spoke for hours. Mm-hmm. You remember our first conversation?
Yeah.
We talked for hours. It was like there was, like we've known each other forever, like we've known each other all our life. And I thank God for you. And I thank God for your genuineness. I thank God that your persistence. And I even thank God for your mother, both your biological mother and your mother. I'm not going to say your adopted mother, because she raised you to be an amazing young man.
Thank you.
So y'all, this actually concludes our show for tonight. If y'all want to connect, definitely connect with John. He is amazing. If you guys are going through anything similar, reach out to him, because he's going to be honest with you. He's going to give you the guidance. He's going to direct you. And I'm just going to say, Dr. John Payne.
It's coming.
It's coming. He is a candidate for his doctoral, and he will be graduating
spring 23.
Spring of 23. Yep. That is literally right around the corner. I'm super. Yes. So y'all, look, we gotta go. We took up a lot of y'all time. I thank you for saying yes, for coming on the show. I love you. with all of my heart. Okay, I love you, and y'all get connected. So we are thanking you because you are the first male figure that we celebrate this month, and what an amazing celebration it has been. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing your story, your testimony, and there's so much more inside of you. Y'all, this is just one of many books that he's going to be pushing out. So y'all make sure y'all want to connect with him, because y'all want these books. They are, when I tell y'all, they are everything. They are everything. This is his life. So we got to go. Tell the people goodbye. We got to go.
Thank you. I appreciate you for listening. Thank you for having me, Cynthia.
You are so welcome. I love you guys. Listen, definitely connect with us. Share the show with somebody. Like and subscribe to the show. We also want you to make sure that you, when you subscribe, you will definitely be notified. Connect with us at www.plansoftherighteous.com. We also are launching our P2S, which is our Prepared to Succeed group coaching program. We're launching it. You will get the link inside the chat. Also, you can, it's a 13-week new business startup coaching program. We are going to get you started and elevate you so you can have a profit. It's an amazing program. It's our flagship program. So you want to definitely be a part. If you know of anybody that is looking to start a business, that have a business, that have not profited in their business, this is the program you would want to be a part of. I will put the link in the chat, and I will see you guys because we got to go. Bye, y'all.